This was a hunt belonging to the primates. With a sweeping gesture from Caesar's large hand, all the apes swiftly raced across the tree trunks. They quickly spotted their target. The apes herded the deer in one direction, because there was another team lying in ambush there. Under Caesar's command, they quickly captured a deer. Just as Blue was preparing to take the prey away, a brown bear suddenly charged out. Caesar saw his son in danger. It immediately rushed to block. However, Caesar was no match for the bear. In a crisis, it hurries to call out to its companions. Not far away, Koba quickly heard the cry for help. While Caesar grappled with the bear, Koba arrived and leaped directly at it. The bear was thus brought down by the spears. Fortunately, Caesar was unharmed. Subsequently, it led the ape legion back to their camp. In the future world, humans developed a genetic drug for treating diseases. However, the drug had enormous side effects on humans. Eventually, 99.8% of the people on Earth became infected and died. Due to their unique immune system, the genetic drug actually enhanced the intelligence of the primates. Now, under Caesar's leadership, they have built their own home in the forest. The powerful apes are responsible for hunting, while the elder apes take care of nurturing the next generation. The entire ape civilization is rapidly developing. 10 years after leading human cities, Caesar's eldest son, Blue, has reached adulthood. His younger son was just born today. They haven't seen humans for many years, and Caesar even suspects that humans have become extinct. Until this day, while Blue and Ash were returning home after fishing, they suddenly spotted a human intruder in the forest. As both sides confronted each other, but the human suddenly pulls the pistol. The sound of the gunshot immediately alerted Caesar. Soon, the ape army arrived at the scene, surrounding the humans. Once Caesar arrived, Rocket quickly informed it that the humans had injured its son, Ash. Caesar made an effort to calm the emotions of the apes and then turned his gaze toward the humans in front of it. The panicked humans immediately turned and fled. To be cautious, Caesar ordered Koba to follow them from behind. As Koba trailed them, it discovered the camp of surviving humans. It returned to inform Caesar. The apes should have taken the initiative to attack, but Caesar believed that the humans' strength and intentions were unclear. If they went to war, they would lose more than just their homes and loved ones, but also the future of the ape civilization. Later, Koba found Caesar alone. Koba had suffered from human experimentation at the genetic company, so it harbored deep hatred towards humans. Although it obeyed all of Caesar's decisions, it believed that humans needed to understand the might of the apes. Otherwise, they would invade the forest again. After considering, Caesar agreed to the plan. Subsequently, Caesar led the army of apes into the city, and they quickly arrived at the human camp. The humans panicked and immediately prepared for defense. Seeing that the apes didn't attack, Malcolm, who had previously entered the forest, boldly stepped forward. Caesar also approached him. It loudly stated the purpose of their visit.
Apes! But will want war if we must.
Once Caesar finished speaking, it immediately turned and led the army of apes to leave. However, there was unrest among the humans. It turned out that the camp's electricity was running out, and the only hydroelectric plant was located in the forest where the apes lived. Malcolm had ventured into the forest earlier to search for the hydroelectric plant. The camp leader decided to conquer the apes by force, but Malcolm believed that since the apes possessed intelligence, they might be open to negotiations. So, the leader gave Malcolm 3 days. If he didn't return by then, the humans would launch an attack. Later, Malcolm returned to the forest once again. As he found the ape tribe, the lookout apes had already spotted him. He was immediately brought before Caesar. Malcolm quickly stated his purpose. However, Koba believed Malcolm was lying. It thought they should kill him immediately, but Caesar raised his hand to stop they. Subsequently, under Malcolm's guidance, they made their way to the location of the hydroelectric plant. Seeing that Malcolm was telling the truth, Caesar ultimately agreed to his request. However, Caesar had one condition: they had to surrender their weapons upon entering the forest. As rockets smashed the human weapons, Koba grew even angrier, because once humans had access to the energy source, they would become even more dangerous. Caesar explained that humans had no other choice, and if they were forced away now, humans would undoubtedly wage war. Seeing that Koba still wanted to question him, Caesar slowly stood up. Koba quickly knelt down, extending his palm. Here, Caesar is the sole ruler. Caesar rode on horseback to the hydroelectric plant. However, it noticed that Koba was missing. Maurice explained that Koba was still sulking. perhaps leading the tribe on a hunt. Meanwhile, Koba had already arrived at the human camp. It discovered that the humans indeed had malicious intentions, as they were inventorying weapons in the armory. Quietly, Koba infiltrated the area, but as it observed the surroundings, it was spotted by patrolling humans. Seeing that they were all armed, Koba immediately displayed a fierce expression. However, within the next second, Koba cleverly pretended to be clueless and left. It realized that there were enough weapons there to kill all the apes. It must go back and tell Caesar the truth. On the other side, as the humans prepared to restart the hydroelectric plant, an accident occurred. The explosion trapped them in the passage. When they were in despair, it was the apes who ultimately rescued them. Later, while the humans were tending to their injuries, Caesar's young son innocently ran into the crowd to play. However, when it crawled into a toolbox, accidentally discovered a weapon, the humans who had hidden the gun hastily rushed to shoo away the little ape. Witnessing his younger brother being frightened, Brew immediately rushed over to stop. Unexpectedly, the humans then picked up their weapons. As they stood in confrontation, Caesar swiftly charged forward and snatched the weapon away. In the face of the humans who broke the agreement, Caesar was about to take drastic action, but Malcolm intervened just in time to stop him.
No.
Ultimately, Caesar chose not to pull the trigger. It threw the weapon into the river and commanded the humans to leave immediately. When Caesar returned home, it discovered that its wife had suddenly fallen seriously ill. In its sorrowful state, Malcolm unexpectedly came again. He wants Caesar to give humans another chance. Seeing Caesar's predicament, Malcolm's companion, a woman, revealed she was a doctor and could help treat the illness. Witnessing his wife growing weaker, Caesar ultimately agreed to the request, and, as an exchange, decided to give humans one more day. Meanwhile, Koba, who had returned, wanted to report to Caesar, but it discovered that the apes were helping the humans repair the power station. Koba angrily questioned Caesar's actions.
Put apes in danger.
Facing Koba's accusations, Caesar immediately subdued it. Koba had been subjected to human experimentation, and it had harbored a deep desire for revenge against humans. However, Caesar chose not to kill Koba. It remembered the first rule it established for the apes. Apes do not kill other apes. After the incident, Koba realized that Caesar had lost trust in it. It didn't inform Caesar about the weapons information. Later, Koba sneaked into the armory again by pretending to be harmless. When the humans let their guard down, Koba seized the weapons. With everything in place, Koba's followers joined it, and they headed towards the forest with the weapons. Meanwhile, Malcolm and his group managed to repair the hydroelectric dam, and the distant city regained its lights. Caesar held its recovered wife, and life seemed to return to normal. However, Caesar noticed Koba's presence under a tree, which puzzled it. Suddenly, Koba raised a weapon and, with a gunshot, Caesar fell from the tree. All the apes were instantly thrown into panic. When Blue arrived at the scene, all it saw was the weapon left on the tree. Shortly after, Koba emerged and loudly claimed that humans had killed Caesar and burned down the apes' home. Now, the apes must seek revenge on the humans and fight back, tooth for tooth, to avenge Caesar. Under Koba's leadership, all the apes immediately charged towards the human encampment. They first seized control of the armory, and with a brief period of exploration, the apes learned to use human weapons. At the same time, the humans had already discovered the ape uprising. As the alarm sounded, the humans quickly prepared for a battle. A full-blown war between the two species was about to begin. Yes, you read it right. It is a massive ape army charging towards the humans. Although they successfully took over the armory, the ape forces suffered heavy casualties under the humans' counterattack. However, Koba disregarded everything and ordered all the apes to continue the assault. The humans had no choice but to fight back with all their might. With their overwhelming firepower, countless apes fell on the battlefield. Blue, witnessing the falling of its fellow apes, finally understood why its father was reluctant to start a war. Meanwhile, Koba, consumed by rage, rode on horseback and charged to the forefront. Under Koba's leadership, the ape forces finally broke through the human defense lines. However, before they could celebrate their victory, A tremendous blast caused significant ape casualties. It turned out that human reinforcements had arrived. Upon seeing the situation, Koba immediately charged forward. The unsuspecting soldiers were quickly thrown off tanks. With this formidable weapon, the ape forces finally stormed into the human camp, herding all the humans together. Koba then commanded Ash to kill the humans. However, Ash hesitated, saying that Caesar wouldn't want the apes to act this way. The words angered Koba, who dragged Ash up to the roof and threw it down. Caesar is dead. Now, all the apes had to obey Koba's commands. Unlike Caesar, Koba had no intentions of being gentle. Next, it aimed to exterminate the humans and imprison the apes who remained loyal to Caesar. On the other side, Caesar, who had fallen off the cliff, did not die. Malcolm, who was preparing to leave, discovered Caesar. They planned to bring Caesar back to the city for medical treatment. However, the entire camp was now under Koba's control. Finally, under Caesar's leadership, they arrived at Caesar's former home together. In order to perform surgery on Caesar, Malcolm took a risk and returned to the human camp. However, the ape soldiers quickly arrived at the location. Just when Malcolm had no way to escape, he happened to encounter Caesar's son. With Blue's help, Malcolm successfully managed to escape back. Seeing Son also arriving there, Caesar revealed the truth to it. Everything was Koba's plot. The surgery that followed was successful, and Caesar soon regained consciousness. However, in its weakened state, it was not yet capable of leading the apes. Blue decided to help its father. In the stillness of the night, it quietly released the imprisoned humans. Taking advantage of the diversion caused by the ape army, Blue also rescued the loyal apes who supported Father. Meanwhile, in the room, Caesar found a video of himself as a child, watching the human who treated it as family. It realized that this was the reason it always maintained goodwill towards humans. As Caesar remembers the past, Blue has arrived with his old men. Shortly after, Caesar decided to take immediate action, with Malcolm leading the way. They made their way to the human camp through a tunnel. Soon, Caesar found the ape army. In the presence of all the apes, the Kobas were now unable to use human weapons and they had to rely on their own primitive strength to fight. Facing Koba's attacks, Caesar immediately launched a counterattack. However, due to his injuries, Caesar was no match for Koba. Fortunately, at the moment it fell from the high building, Caesar managed to drag Koba down with him. When Caesar stood up again, it noticed that Koba had been unfortunate and suffered a wound to his abdomen. Koba holding onto a bleeding wound, it disregarded fair play and picked up a weapon. In the ensuing madness, as Koba relentlessly attacked, Caesar could only evade and dodge, but gradually, it found himself cornered. That's when Caesar spotted an iron plate and immediately picked it up as a weapon. While fending off Koba's attacks, Caesar continuously used language to provoke him. This tactic indeed caused Koba to reveal a weakness. Caesar quickly moved forward and struck Koba's wound. Just as Caesar was preparing to capitalize on his advantage and pursue further, the platform beneath their feet suddenly collapsed. Fortunately, they both managed to grab hold of the metal chain in time and hung in the air, continuing their battle. However, at that moment, the humans suddenly detonated the pre-placed explosives. A powerful shockwave erupted and shot into the sky as the entire tall building slowly began to collapse. Luckily, Caesar jumped onto a platform at the last moment. By the time Caesar regained its footing, it found the apes had suffered heavy casualties from the blast. It immediately started rescuing fellow apes. Meanwhile, Koba had become consumed by madness. To kill Caesar, it picks up his weapon and starts attacking indiscriminately. Fortunately, other apes quickly arrived to provide support, diverting Koba's attention. Seeing the opportunity, Caesar lunged at Koba, pushing it toward the edge of the cliff. As Koba struggled to climb back up, Caesar approached it.
Not kill. Ape. You are not ape.
At the end of the film, Malcolm found Caesar once again. He informed Caesar that the humans in the area had made contact with the military. Caesar must now retreat to the forest as soon as possible. Otherwise, apes would face an all-out war with humans. However, Caesar shook his head in response. While appreciating Malcolm's good intentions, it knew that the war had already begun with the apes' attack. Having said, Caesar turned away and walked towards its companions. As the leader of the entire ape community, it must lead them to survive.